Ready? Okay. It is 4:30, so we'll call this meeting of the Dunn County Judicial and Law Committee to order. Call the roll. Everyone is here. Supervisor Gilbert's is excused. Approval of the minutes. Can I get a motion to approve? Yep. Any discussion to the minutes? Although, oh,
Correction, under child support. I'm guessing the name of the office is, has different initials. Because they don't quite match. Josie, what are the actual initials now? Is it like W?
I don't have it in front of me. Are we talking about the Federal Office of Child Support Services going back to their former name of Office of Child Support Enforcement?
Yeah.
So it was OCSS. It's going back to OCSE.
Oh, okay, then it is right. Oh, no, it's OSCE here, so it should just be OCSE instead.
Office of
Yeah, it's no
Office
big
of
deal. but I
Child
just
Support,
thought
CSE.
At some point in the future, anybody looking at this might be a little confused, so we may as well correct that.
any other discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Public comments. None, okay, and we'll move on to staff reports, and first up is child support.
Not exactly related to my department, but the governor has sent out notice that the food share or the SNAP benefits will be ending here in November. Even if the government shutdown were to end this week, November benefits to citizens would still be delayed. So I've prepared my staff for an influx of calls. Usually we get contacted frequently from recipients of child support during times of the year when money's tight and expenses are greater. So it's usually at the beginning of a school year when we need new clothes and shoes and supplies. And then again at the holidays when they want to buy gifts and things. So I anticipate that this change in their ability to provide food for their children is going to result in potentially an influx of calls to my office to say, what are you guys doing to collect the money that's due to me? Because they're short. So Human Services shared with us various resources throughout all of Dunn County for different food assistance and I guess options that we can refer people to. So that's it.
Any questions? Okay,
I just had one question, just information. On the bottom of your report, it said, should the government shutdown continue? It's unclear if our 66% federal reimbursement. Is that federal reimbursement, where is that in your revenue? Is that part of the?
That would be in the state grants.
State grant.
That is,
okay.
The state grants is all my 66%
Okay.
revenue.
Okay.
So I've discussed this with some of my counterparts in the region, and we're confident that, and maybe I shouldn't be, but we are confident that, so we get our reimbursements quarterly.
Okay.
So September is the end of the third quarter, and that report gets submitted on or before October 23rd.
All right.
So that was last week. After the report's been submitted, it's usually in a typical time frame, we would expect to receive our quarterly reimbursement for the third quarter by the beginning or the end of November. Because the third quarter was still in the federal fiscal year that had funding allocated to it, we're confident that we should still get that reimbursement. the question becomes, is the person who works that report and then like pushes the button to release the funds got furloughed or not? Is there going to be a delay in receiving those funds? And then there is no approved federal budget for the new fiscal year, which would be when our fourth quarter is charging. So we'll see. I will let you know as soon as I hear anything.
Makes things a little tense, I would guess.
We are optimistic.
Good. I just had one other thing, and this is just information also, but I noticed on the paternity cases, you had 100
Correct.
paternity established, right? 111%?
Yes.
How do you get more than 100%?
Correct.
Just curious.
So what they're doing is they're taking the number of children in Dunn County who needed paternity established in the last federal fiscal year
Okay.
and comparing it to the number of children who had paternity established in the current fiscal year. And so if I did a really good job and adjudicated paternity in all the cases in this fiscal year and picked up a couple stragglers from the last fiscal year, that's how the percentage exceeds
Okay.
100%.
Okay. Thank you. That just made me wonder.
You are not the first to ask.
Okay, thank you. And we'll move on to emergency management.
A little bit similar to Josie's story. We have a couple main grants that fund emergency management, and there has been some question about if we will receive our reimbursement for our plan of work for this year in 2025. The funding for next year came out and it was a lot different. The dates had changed and there was some funding changes. And so now there's some question about whether we will actually get reimbursed for January through September of this year. We're hopeful, like Josie, but I just want to put it out there that we may not receive all of the revenue that we had originally intended to receive for 2025. Now, if the grant stays the way that it is written now, we would receive funding from October 1st into next year through June. So it's a little confusing why they decided to try and change the dates in the middle of the process, but we're not really sure. And with the government shutdown, things really aren't moving right now. And I'm sure when they open up, it won't be the very first thing they address is how the funding is going to go. So just to kind of put that out there, that's the only new thing I had.
Questions for emergency management?
Yes, I just wondered what EPCRA stands for, just for my information.
Yeah, it's EPCRA, what we call EPCRA. And it is basically a state statute that entitles the public to know what kind of chemicals are in their neighborhood or what kind of chemicals are in their county. And so we call them facilities. So like 3M is a facility because it has hazardous chemicals that meet a certain threshold. And so that's just the state statute that covers that, the Right to Know Act on what is in your community or what's being handled by your industry in your area.
EPCRA, what do all those letters stand for? Do you know?
Emergency planning. Let me look at it here and it'll come to my my brain, but it's basically the Right to Know Act. So emergency planning and let me look it up.
It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
Curious.
Yeah, I should know it off the top of my head, but I was so concerned about that funding and
Yeah.
thought for sure that you would be asking me about our funding that. Emergency Planning and Community Right to Know Act.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, we'll move on to medical examiner.
Good evening. I only have one small thing to add. I report to Eau Claire County Judiciary and Law as well. And starting in 2025, they requested quarterly numbers, like what I provided for you for Dunn County. I believe in the other 2 quarters, I provided Eau Claire County's numbers for you as well, since the 7 employees that are employed by Dunn County serve both Dunn and Eau Claire County. So in addition to Dunn County's 231 deaths, this year we have 943 that we've served in Eau Claire County. And I have the breakdown available for their types of deaths too, but that is all I have to add. I don't know why I didn't add Eau Claire's recap to your report in front of you. My apologies. Any questions?
Have you looked over this chart in relation to previous years to notice whether there are any trends or?
No, there's not any specific trends to homicides or suicides or overdoses. That'll vary a bit each year, so there's not any specific trends that I can point out. Some years were a little higher in overdoses and lower in others, and the same as Eau Claire County, and then the same as homicides too, which there's no trend for that.
Any other questions? Okay, thanks, Marcy. We'll move on to Sheriff's Office.
Not much to add to my report other than the flooring project in the jail's coming along well. Well, that 27-year-old stinking carpet is being ripped out and replaced with an epoxy flooring. So we'll get about half the facility done this year and hopefully be able to fund the other half out of jail assessment funds next year so we can get it all done. It smells better in there already.
But Carl.
Sheriff, I was just curious why you think it's important that your staff attend the sentencing of the person who's guilty of killing Officer Reynolds.
I think it's important for them for, some closure. And, they're, very good friends and coworkers with most people. When the plea and sentencing was scheduled in September, there was a few of them that didn't work closely with Jeff that decided not to attend. So I'm going to still leave that as an option, but it's important for them to, personally to be there and support Jeff's family.
I know we run into this from time to time of doing the disposal of the eligibility list. Why do we have to do that again?
It's by county ordinance. Civil service county ordinance says that the committee has to dispose of the list so I can move on with the new hiring process.
Is it something we need?
Well, I'm working with the Corp Council to change it from a ordinance to a hiring policy, which would then change. I've been in the works in this with the last Corp Council attorney and Jim's digging into it. I actually suspected you would have seen it by now to change it from county ordinance, abolish the ordinance period and just make it a hiring policy. But by ordinance, you have to abolish the list or dispose of the list. And I can explain that a little bit. Anybody that's currently on the list is either not eligible because they're not certified as a law enforcement officer yet, or we've eliminated them by background, or we've had one guy turn us down. He withdrew from the process. So there isn't anybody I'm either willing to or can even hire by county ordinance because they have to be a certified law enforcement officer for me to hire them.
Oh, good. I'd like to see that change. So
Yeah.
Supervisor Wilsey, would that mean that we wouldn't have to give our approval when this happens?
that is correct.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, that might be simpler. I mean, I've never seen it to be anything other than just going through a motion, so.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. That's the way it was written years ago, probably around the year 2000, 2001, when they created the chief deputy's position.
Any other questions? We do not. It'll come up. It's item number 7. Yep. On the courts, Katie.
The only thing I have to add is I'm doing interviews tomorrow and Wednesday for a part-time deputy clerk position. We had 6 applicants and we're going to do 3 interviews. Other than that, nothing else to add unless there's questions.
I'm just curious, breakdown by race, is that just self-reported race that the person gives them?
For what?
Well, you have a breakdown by race, you know, number of whites, African Americans, Native Americans, Asians.
I think that's probably, you're looking at my jail report.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, am I? I guess so. Yeah. Okay. I thought I turned enough pages.
No, I'm like, I don't think I included that.
Are you asking how they're identified?
Yeah, how do you determine?
It's usually based off from their driver's license, what they identify as their race on their driver's license.
I just happened to be reading a couple of novels by a Native American, and one of the things that comes up in it is kids who didn't even know they were Native American until they did a DNA test. So
Right.
I was just curious, you know, how that it's.
Yeah, it's how they identify on their driver's license or what race they determine they are.
Okay.
It's getting more and more cloudy, you know, obviously there's interracial people, so I don't know how long it'll even be before Wisconsin and other states just ask you to stop declaring your race, you know. It's kind of pointless as far as I'm concerned, but.
Any other questions for courts? Yep.
Perfect. Thanks.
Thanks, Katie. Next, we'll move on to CJCC.
It's been a busy month for the CJCC. We submitted quarterly grant reports for reimbursement for 5 of our grants. So that really takes a lot of effort across different agencies to provide the information, both narrative and the fiscal reports. So I appreciate everybody's help on that. We've also put in renewals for 5 grants. So trying to keep that grant dollars coming our way. These are state grants, so we're anticipating no delay in getting the funding amount. We do have one federal family treatment court grant, and that is kind of frozen on the side. We have a grant report that's due later this week, and we can't even submit it because the website is down. So we're still preparing the report. We're just not able to submit it and request that reimbursement. So once the government's back in business at the federal level, we'll get that report in. But yeah, any questions on my report? Great, thank you.
Yep, thank you. Next, we'll move on to district attorney.
Well, today was a historic day. I'm glad that Judge Meyer is here. We had our first cryptocurrency case, and Judge Meyer ordered that the assets be returned to the victim that resides in Dunn County. And it was Supervisor Vandermeulen's favorite, Sergeant Stalker, that did a lot of work on that, along with another investigator, Gates, who worked hard on that case. So it requires a lot of time and search warrants to figure out what happened to our victims' money. And even though our warrants may require that they provide information within 60 days or 90 days, it doesn't seem like the international companies follow that. So it's just when they decide to send us information, then we can act on it, or the sheriff's office could act on it. And then the sheriff's office froze those assets from the cryptocurrency company, and then did some back tracing, which requires a lot of time and effort. So it was really anticlimactic. It was like all this work, and then it was a really short hearing because no one appeared. And so all of you should share in the excitement since there was no press, no excitement, but it was rewarding to see the victim have his funds returned. The agency had been emailing Sergeant Stalker for quite some time, or the suspect, indicating that they were innocent. And so we were expecting that perhaps Chinese attorneys would show up, and no one appeared. So it was pretty short and sweet. But good news is we were able to return some of the funds. Bad news is we didn't have enough information to file criminal charges. So I think law enforcement is still working on that. But yeah, it was an exciting day. That's all I have to share.
Any questions for the district attorney? Yep, thank you. Next, we have items placed at the request of the chair. So just expenditures, there's no action, it's just for information. If you do have questions, you can ask them. Any questions on the expenditure report? Okay, next we'll move on to consideration of actions to be taken by the Judiciary and Law Committee, disposal of the deputy sheriff's eligibility. The list. Katie, do we need a motion on this? Okay. So do I have a motion? Motion and seconded. Any discussion on the list? All those in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Item 8. Resolution for intention to join the statewide public safety and operable communication system. Melissa, you want to talk about that?
Sure will. Currently, we are on the state radio system, which is called WISCOM, and have been since 2015. We also do maintain our legacy system for both law enforcement and the sheriff's office side, and then also for our Dunn Fire EMS frequencies. WISCOM is upgrading their system, or basically redoing their system. The state of Wisconsin is going to the 7,800 megahertz radio system. And because Dunn County is currently a daily user with the WISCOM system, we're kind of given that first opportunity to go to the new, I'm going to call it WISCOM 2.0 is kind of what they've been calling it, WISCOM 2.0. So Dunn County, because in the past we have been a daily user of it, we're given opportunities to apply for some grant funding to kind of help with this transition, and also receive some assets from the state to kind of help with this transition to the 7,800 megahertz. So one of the stipulations in the grant process is to declare that we would like to become, part of the WISCOM 2.0 radio system. So this resolution does that. If it does get passed, it does, indicate that we are wanting to move forward with being on the WISCOM 2.0 system, and that it also indicates that we're going to apply for grant funds to help with some of the purchases of some of the radios. The grant currently, there is, it's an 80-20, so we do have to match the grant 20%. Dunn County's portion is around that $124,000 or $125,000, and that would be radios for the sheriff's office, which would include the Dunn County first responders, would be the radios in my office, and then some radios for the medical examiner's office. So that 20% is approximately, like I said, that 125, but that's what this resolution does, is just indicate that yes, we want to be part of the system, and then 2, that we intend to apply for a grant, and that we would basically say we're going to pay for our 20% of the grant funding. So the WISCOM 2.0 is going to it is county-wide and can include other agencies like Menominee Police Department, the Menominee Fire, Sand Creek Fire, some of the smaller fire EMS departments too. And we're trying to work out the details on all that if they would apply to, because we would apply on their behalf. So we have to work out some of those details yet. But the closing for the first grant opportunity that is available is January 31st. So we wanted to bring it to the board here tonight so we can get it through to the county board to get approval if that is the wish of the board.
What would be the other option?
The other option is, if we did not want to go with WISCOM 2.0, would be to basically kind of rebuild our infrastructure for our legacy system, I'll call it, which is the system that has been in place since I started and since Kevin started in the late 80s and early 90s. That system consists of a location in Wheeler and a location here in Menominee. And so when you look at Dunn County, how it is long and kind of narrow, we would definitely need to increase that infrastructure. So possibly more towers, definitely more towers, more repeaters, things like that. We would need to purchase all new council equipment for the dispatch center. So that's kind of the option. It was either WISCOM 2.0 or we need to basically build our infrastructure for our own radio system. Neighboring counties are looking at all of these same situations. Neighboring counties are running anywhere from $15 million to $40 million to increase their infrastructure on their own without going WISCOM. So I think it boils down to funding. And then also, I think a lot of support from the state. So if we opt to go with WISCOM 2.0, some of the things that we did not have with this go round that we're currently in right now and have been since 2015 is they're going to support the equipment themselves at the state level. So they have technicians that run Wisconsin State Patrol radio, and they maintain like their repeaters and some of the equipment for that. Currently, with the WISCOM system that we're in now, Dunn County has to maintain that. So that is definitely a difference. And a welcomed, change to how the WISCOM 2.0 would go versus how we're kind of working on it now. It would also increase the coverage from what we have now. There's definitely some what we call dead spots in our county, and definitely some improvement that needs to happen with portable coverage in our county. Not just in buildings, but just in our county. Officers out on traffic stops, sometimes they don't have good coverage. And this new version to the WISCOM 7,800 megahertz would offer that. So yeah, it's either that or we basically build our own infrastructure. And like I said, surrounding counties are looking at that. I think Pierce County just kind of put some feelers out to see what it would cost to build their own infrastructure in that 7,800 megahertz. And I heard that it was, around that $20 million. So, and that is kind of coming from the Twin Cities and coming this way. So the state of Minnesota has what is called Minnesota Armor Radio, and it covers the whole state of Minnesota. It's one system, kind of like the WISCOM system, and it covers the whole state of Minnesota. Well, because Pierce County, St. Croix County, Polk County, they all border that, they all need to get on that 7,800 megahertz so they can communicate with their neighbors. Well, now if our neighbors are going 7,800 megahertz, guess what? We need to communicate with them. We need that to be able to communicate with them. And it's just kind of, going to be a domino effect that we don't want to be an island. We don't want to be the only one out there that can't communicate. Unfortunately, we are right now with the WISCOM system that we're in, because we were one of the only daily users that went to daily user here in this West Central region of Wisconsin. So that's what we don't want to repeat. We don't want to repeat that and be an island and unable to communicate with our neighbors. I hope I answered.
interoperable?
Yes. It does. It does. Other counties, other states, sometimes just other agencies within our own county. I mean, some of our smaller fire EMS agencies may not have the what we call Do Law One channel, which is the channel that we communicate on with the sheriff's department daily, because of the age of their radios or the style of radio they have that may not be programmed. So it is a little bit harder for if we have a large scene for even, let's just say, and this is just an example, I'm not sure that this is how their radio works, but let's just say Sand Creek Fire cannot switch and talk to the Dunn County Sheriff's Department. We'd either have to patch them together, or we would have to relay that information. So it's to our neighboring counties, but it's also within our own agency, which is why this grant opportunity would be so nice, that if we could have every radio in our county be the same and have the same frequencies and program the same, I think it would really help that interoperability a lot, and make it just a little bit easier for large scene calls.
Another question. Wisconsin Department of Military. Do they get?
That's just where the state of Wisconsin put it under that division at the state level. Yeah. No. I don't know if I'm sure they probably do. It's a statewide radio system. So all the Wisconsin State Patrol, they use this radio system, but that's just the division at, Madison that this was put under. Hmm. And the grant funding and stuff kind of comes out from that, which is why, the emergency management office is working with the sheriff's department, but we'll do the application for that grant county on behalf of the entire county.
And I can just add, so L3 Harris is the company building out this radio system across the state. They've built statewide radio systems in Florida, Texas, I can't remember, multiple states. Because they've got the state contract to build out this system, they're offering a 60% discount on their radios. So we get a 60% discount on the radios plus 80% grant funding towards it. So if we had to pay full price for these radios and not get grant funded, they'd be about $5,000 per radio. That's mobile in the car and a portable on your hip. It'd be about $10,000 to outfit one deputy. So $124,000 is what's projected we're going to need to put mobiles and portables on everybody's hip. Is a drop in the bucket compared to what a new system that the county would have to finance themselves. I mean, $20,000 to $40,000 to build an appropriate radio system to cover, 864 square miles with the terrain that we have is why we went to Wiscom originally, because our system was failing and we couldn't afford to upgrade it. So this is coming in at a significantly reduced cost to us as taxpayers to get on the statewide system. They're going to maintain it. Melissa doesn't have to get woke up at midnight because the Menominee Tower's down, and so they're guaranteeing 95% portable coverage from the officer's hip outside their car with full leaves on is how they test this system. And I've looked at the coverage map, and about the only part of the county it's really a dead zone is the Chippewa River. You get down into that Chippewa bottoms is probably going to be about the 5%. They're not guaranteeing portable coverage, but otherwise mobile coverage from a squad car should not have any dead zones, which would be incredibly rare for us for years now. I mean, we used to, when Melissa and I started, deputies would drive over the hill into Ridgeland and say, when they're up on top of the hill, I'll be in Ridgeland if you can't get a hold of me. You just couldn't. There was no radio service there at all. So,
And I hate to date this, but no cell phones either. So, yeah, I mean, the radios have improved, but there's a long way to go before it's really at an acceptable level. And this would take us there. And you know, the sheriff's office is, I think, you know, 100%, you know, dedicated to going to WISCOM 2.0. We have a little bit of hesitation with some fire EMS, but we're working through that. And like I mentioned, we've maintained our legacy system with the sheriff's office frequency just as a backup, because you know, you never know. And we'll do the same with fire EMS. So you know, if WISCOM 2.0 is not a good fit for them, you know, currently we're going to maintain that frequency. So yeah.
Yep. Do I have a motion to the resolution? And do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Any further discussion?
Thank you.
All those in favor? Aye. And we'll moving on. Okay, next is announcements. So I've been on this committee for 3 years, and why I'm entertained, I like hearing all your reports. I've been in talk with Dan, and I don't know if it's necessary that we meet every month. So we are gonna start going to quarterly meetings. So if you look at your report, the next meeting is gonna be January 26th. Now, if something does come up from one of the staff members here, please reach out and we can always have a meeting. And when I say quarterly, I'm working with Dan, it's gonna be fluid. So I think it's gonna be every 3 months, but depending on budget and that stuff, it might change, but we'll give you a heads up, so. That, and then hopefully for you guys, it frees you up. Don't have as many meetings and you don't have to give as many reports to us, so. And if any issues come up, please reach out. And with that being said, our next meeting is January 26th, 2026. And this meeting's adjourned.